So here we go, the M&P 10, maybe 150 to 200 rounds, and boom, the optic goes flying. You'll see here, this was just before the optic came off. I was shooting no problem. I had shot it outdoor to set the zero, and it was going fine, but the CCI blazers are just really hot rounds, and this thing was torqued down, but it came flying off. So guys, if you only do one thing for my channel, just share this video. Let people know that these M&P really needs to address their optic plates, because this is not an isolated incident. I've read other people have the same issues. So you can see the two screws are stuck here and here. This one is kind of moving a little bit, so I might be able to get it out just without hammering it. See it spinning. Alright, we got the first one out. As you can see here, this tiny little one. This one actually came out pretty easy. Didn't even have to chisel it or nothing, but you could see here's the first hole. Alright, I managed to work a nice little burr in there. Oh, there it is. So you see I got it out. I don't know if you could see, but what I did was I managed to get a little burr, and I just didn't have to bang it too much. I just dug, and it came out relatively easy. Didn't even have to heat it up or... So here I'm just running some tests. This is the 10mm. There's a couple misses along the way. I'm going to mute it so you could hear me talk, but you'll see that, you know, 10 shots is taking me 8.29 seconds. Much of the same with the, you know, the 5-shot test. I actually had a miss here, so it was 6 shots. So my point is that when you compare it to the 9mm equivalents, it's just so much easier and quicker to shoot the 9mm, and that's what I get into later. I just don't know what the purpose of the 10mm round is. You have more stopping power, but you're slower, and it's harder to get back on target for follow-up shots. So here's a SIG P226, and you know, here I didn't have any misses, and I'm doing it much faster for 10 rounds. I'm doing 10 hits, and this time it took me for 5 on the 10mm. Same with the big plate. This one, no misses. The one thing I will say, I think the 10mm is a great training tool. You practice shooting the 10mm, and when I went back to the 9mm, it was just so much easier and so much quicker. It's a great training tool, I think. Use the 10 to train, shoot well with the 9. Welcome back to the channel, Hosers. Today we were going to do an unboxing of the M&P 2.0 10mm. I bought this gun in June, just before the gun ban in Canada, and it took about 6 months because of all the panic buying for me to finally get it. And I received it, I think, around Christmas time. Didn't shoot it till January just because of the holidays. And I've been a little underwhelmed by it so far. It's kind of funny. I don't want to go too much on a rant, but it seems like the gun manufacturers are pushing 10mm down our throat now for whatever reason. You know, Smith & Wesson has one. The SIG P320 comes in a 10mm. The SIG P220 Legion was coming in a 10mm. I think Springfield and Glock have always made a 10mm, but it just seems like there's been this big push of 10mm, and all the gun YouTubers are pushing it and saying what a great round it is. And I mean, for me, I think it's farther from the truth. I think that you know, the gun manufacturers are sending these guys gifts or guns, and they're just shilling for it because well, we'll get into it. But first impressions, I buy a $900 M&P, comes in a cardboard box. Okay, I bought a Smith & Wesson SD9 and a Victory, and they came in cardboard boxes. I thought maybe it was cardboard because they're lower budget guns, but here we go, $900, you get a cardboard box. The issue I have with that, I personally don't use the gun cases that they come with. I have dedicated gun cases, as you can see. But in Canada, you have to lock your guns up when you transport them. You have to have a trigger lock, and you have to have it locked in a case. So for the casual shooter who buys a gun, the case coming with it was always an added benefit, and you know, you could just lock the case up, and I see it all the time. People come in with their little Smith & Wesson case. And now Smith & Wesson, you know, considering in 10 years the price of the gun is more than doubled, and they've cut costs with this. Okay, so I'll just quickly get into it while we have everything out here. My second gripe, which I've mentioned in other videos, specifically my M&P 9 Pro, Smith & Wesson ships with these garbage plastic polymer plates. You know, I complained about them then, I'll complain about them now, and sure enough, what happened? It failed. So as you can see here, these things have little raised bumps that the optic sits on. You can see it's a little raised. Well, I ran maybe 200 rounds through this M&P, and they broke right off. These broke right off. The screws sheared, as you can see. Here's the screw. Here's the other half of the screws. I had to pry them out. You'll see the video. And it just, you know, I had everything torqued down. I've never had a problem like this before, but the screws broke right off. I'm not saying it's because of this plastic plate, but what I am saying is when you spend $900 on a gun, and it comes with polymer plates, compared to when you spend $500-600 on a Canic, you get a beautiful case, you get everything organized, back straps have a place, tools, everything, holster, and then you get these big, robust metal plates. Like, look at this, you know, that's metal. Look how thick that is compared to this. Like, which would you rather have on your sidearm? Yes, I realize this is going to raise the center of gravity on the reciprocating slide. Yes, I realize it's going to be maybe a little bit tougher to co-witness. But what good is an optic if it flies off the way it did with me, right? It hit me right in the nose. Disappointed. Then I emailed Smith & Wesson customer service. Just emailed them. My optic flew off. The screws sheared in half. Is this a known issue? Because other people are complaining about it. Do you recommend different screws? Do you recommend not using an optic? They respond, are you in Canada? I say, sorry, they say, where are you located? I say, Canada. They refer me to the Canadian. Didn't answer my question. What does it matter if I'm in Canada or Zimbabwe? It's a question. I'm asking you a question. They couldn't even answer my question. Refer me to Canada. You email Canada, no response. Okay, big deal. Like I said, you know, the average consumer, no response from customer service. But you have guys on YouTube who are getting the guns shipped to them for free for testing, going on and on about how great they are. Okay, take the optic aside. The gun shoots great. For a 10mm, it shoots great. No issues. The trigger's still kind of shitty. You could see they claim it's supposed to be a little bit better, but it's still kind of crappy. Feels a little gritty. Has a nice break. Oops. Has a nice break. The reset is a little long on the long side, but look at all that take up even after you reset. And then, you know, not terrible, but, you know, nowhere near, you know, the competition like SIG 226 or P320. I was going to compare it, like an idiot I am. I brought a gun out to compare it to, so I brought the Canic out to compare it, because I mean, I was looking for a 9mm, and then I didn't even think to bring my M&P 9. Like, why would I compare an M&P to an M&P when I can compare something different? But nevertheless, that was my mistake. Although this one, to be fair, does have an Apex trigger, so, you know, it wouldn't be apples to apples. Much better. You know, 9mm, $600 gun, much cleaner, much smoother. Brakes so much nicer reset. But again, you know, not really apples to apples, as this is a 9mm and this is a 10mm. But point is, the trigger's not the greatest. The gun functions great, no issues, not a single malfunction other than the slide, the optic plate failing. The whole thing I was complaining about 10mm is, you know, I ran some tests, and I'll try to incorporate them here. My big thing is, you know, I realize they're trying to, you know, stimulate demand for a product. You know, sales slow down. What do? You make something better, or you reinvent the wheel and, you know, try to sell it again. So they turned this into a 10mm, and the 10mm round has a lot of pop, has a lot of kick, a lot of muzzle flip. Yes, you can train and shoot it, but, you know, I was shooting it, and again, I'll show you my drills and my time. With the 9mm, I was consistently dumping 10 rounds on target in half the time as I did with this. I was shooting CCI blazers through this, and I don't know if I have it the video or not, but it literally hurt. Like, you know, the CCIs are hot, and after, you know, 20, 30, 40 rounds of going fast, it really hurts. So I get the stopping power is a great feature for people who can carry this, but I'd rather hit the target twice as many times and quicker with a 9mm that's, you know, proven round, rather than, you know, worry about getting back on target and muzzle flip. So to me, the 10mm just doesn't make that much sense. Is it fun? Hell yeah, I love it. I own a 460. You've seen the videos. I love shooting it. I'm just trying to think, if I was an American carrying this, like, what would be the draw to carry this over something else? You have a 45, which is going to be a little bit easier to handle. I think the 1911 platform's a little bit better. It's a little bit thinner. So to me, this gun doesn't really make much sense in that aspect. Target shooting, same thing. It's fun to blast away, but, you know, after 5-6 magazines, your hands start to hurt, and then most importantly, you know, you can't even run the optic. The one reason I wanted this gun was to I have a Holosun on it, and, you know, the Holosun flew off. So again, comment below, explain to me what the draw is to 10mm, because I just don't get it, and I don't know if it's just a marketing ploy. But other than that, guys, I mean, nothing you haven't seen before. The gun runs reliable. It's you know, exactly what you would expect from a Smith & Wesson. I would just be cautious of the optic plates, and there are a few companies that sell aftermarket optic mounts. I would definitely invest in that if you are going to run it. I am not. I'm not going to take the chance again. I'm just going to enjoy it with the iron sights. So that was all I have for you. Please let me know what you think, if you agree, disagree. And more importantly, you know what, guys? Share the video. I should have said that at the beginning in case you didn't make it this far. Because, you know, these gun manufacturers, if they're just using guys to shill for them and not addressing, you know, the everyday person, then, you know, things won't get better. And sadly, you know, it might be you next time. So I hope you guys have had better experience. I have not. So take care.